I'm overstimulated. Expect the long-awaited abolition of my brain.
But if mentally we synchronize, despite what we despise, there's a chance that maybe I won't go insane.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Mental Sync.
Welcome to Mental Sync. It is the only show where not having a plan is the plan. Guess what, everyone? We don't know what we're talking about today, and that is on purpose. And Emily doesn't even know what the non-plan is, but I do. I don't think any
Those
of
are
that's
my
making
favorite.
sense. Non-plan plans
non-plans?
are the best.
They really are the best.
So what we're going to do is talk about something. We had our last episode be super impromptu, where we just got on the hot topics of family trauma and childhood development and just got into it. And then we're just like, let's just keep recording. And we were like, that's fun. So we're going to shake it up a bit, and we're going to just kind of get into a hot topic and see how that goes. Now, Emily, do you have your phone near you?
I do.
Great. I'm going to FaceTime you.
Okay, cool.
And a lot of you at home are probably like, why is that happening? Don't worry, you're going to see.
Oh, wow, it's loud.
It's loud. Yeah, you can turn the volume down for that, though, because it's just for a visual.
Cool.
What do you
there's
see?
it's a picker wheel.
It's a picker wheel. That's right. Ladies, gents, theys, and thems. I put a bunch of topics that we were thinking about talking about on this wheel down here. I'm recording this on my screen also. I'm going to put a picture of it up here so that you guys can see. We got a bunch of topics we're going to talk about. I'm going to spin this wheel, and we are just going to get right into it. Sound good?
Sounds chaotic, but it's
all
worth
right.
it.
Now, everyone, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, spin that mental health wheel so we can figure out what we're going to talk about today. Woo! Yeah! And today's conversation is
Family. Again.
family again. Okay. So we're going to talk about family, I guess. Should I spin it again because we just did an episode on family? Or do we want to just get into, like, other things on family? Because, like, oh, man. You know what? No, let's talk about family. We can talk about different things. Because we were talking about parenting last time. We were talking about parenting, but not family. And there are a lot of other members of the family. I did meet my cousin's baby, my baby's second cousin today. I actually just came from that, and look at this little shitter. Oh my god, he's 1 year old. His name is Charlie, and he's from Australia. And oh my god,
this is the cutest photo
the
ever.
photogenic little baby is a live photo too, and you can just it's a cute one.
We love live photos.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, my sibling Liv and I just came from a little meetup with our cousin Morgan and her husband and their baby Charlie, who are visiting the United States. And oh my god, what a scrumptious little baby. Oh, just the cutest. So, like, we were late, or we weren't late, but we were planning to meet up for, like, coffee around 3. And then she was like, hey, I'm sorry, it was a really rough night, and Charlie didn't go down until much later, and so now he's not going down for his nap. It might be a minute, like, can we meet up a little later? And we were like, yeah, sure, of course. And so it ended up being like 5:30 when we ended up meeting all together. And so Liv and I were expecting, like, cranky, just woke up from a nap baby, you know? This 1 year old child, like, wouldn't go down to sleep, has jet lag, like...
Right.
We were expecting cranky baby. The smiliest, most sociable little fella that I've ever seen in all my days. Oh my god, it gave me baby fever. I was playing with this little guy, and I was bouncing him on my leg, and he was looking at my beard and was like, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen. He said that. And he said those were his first words. And then I went...
It's so funny. Like, can you just imagine like so you with a baby, just a random baby, and then all of a sudden the mom's like just sitting there, oh, he hasn't said many words yet, and then all of a sudden that's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
He just grabs my beard and goes, "This shit is nuts."
Just never speaks another word until the age of
That's
2.
it. Yep. A complete mute for the following year.
Oh my
But it
God.
really, yeah, no. But then we're playing, and it was crazy. He had all these little buttons on his belly, so of course I had to keep poking them and just go boop, 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 boop. Like he's a phone, and he liked that. And then I went, and then he's like reaching out for mom, and I was like, all right, let's go back to mom. And I go and I hand him back to my cousin, and then he reaches back out to me. It's like, "Mama." And they're like, oh, look at that. And hand it back to me, and I was like, yeah. And then he reaches out to Liv, and he's like, mama. And he was just playing this game where we were passing him around in circles, and he was dissatisfied staying anywhere for a second. And this was a really special meetup because I have not seen my cousin Morgan. Morgan is, I want to say, 2 to 3 years older than me. And I have not seen her, honestly, probably like 6 years. We haven't seen each other in person. And that's just because she moved to Australia. And, I never had my passport. And when she moved to Australia, it was, there was a little family drama. She hadn't come back to visit the United States in a little bit. And then COVID happened. I don't know if you heard about that. But no one was allowed in or out. Yeah. It was this whole thing. You should look it up. But it was very special because it was this real moment where we haven't been together, especially Liv, who is 5 to 6 years younger than me. We haven't been together since we were far less developed, and all in the same room as all of our parents. And, we used to have family parties every single month. This was a thing on my mom's side of the family. Once a month, we would a big Italian family. We would celebrate all of the birthdays of that month. But it was always in the context of our parents getting together and then us also getting, and we always looked forward to it. But this was the first time that it kind of felt like we're adults and we can just see each other. We can just make plans and not even tell our parents about it. And that's fine. And due to some family drama, we're not telling our parents about it. Now it's on a podcast, but it's okay. It's fine. But yeah, man. I don't know. It was really special. Things are a little hot in the family right now. Things are a little hot and heavy in the family right now. There's a little bit of drama going on between a few of the aunts and uncles, and it was really special to know that we had grown up. Not to say we had grown up past them, past needing them or whatever, but we've kind of grown up into this new era where we're the adults, and if we wanted to go back to having family parties, we could do that with the cousins. We could just do that. I mean, it's hard because we're so spread out, but we could do that. And I don't know, it's cool knowing that our generation actually grew. It was just a bit of a reunion, and it was very special.
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and I have nothing but jealousy for you.
Yeah, well, listen, it was a really nice night. It was a nice time. I know Liv really appreciated it too. Family drama's been happening, and in particular, it's I guess with Liv's and my mom, and also with Morgan's mom, have been the two kind of heading a lot of it, we'll say. And it was really nice for us as their children to be officially separate from that and have our own relationship. Because I don't know, do you have that with family members where you feel like you don't have real relationships with them outside of family parties? And do you have anyone in your family that you, I don't know, almost wish you could be closer to, but there's just anytime you're together, it's in the wrong context, or it's always around your parents, or no? How big is your family?
Oh, my
is...
family's dead.
I'm so sorry.
No, I know.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. So I genuinely don't know. I can't relate. Like, I can't relate.
I'm sorry, man.
I
This
can't
is
relate.
because
So, okay,
I know that you've lost family members, but I don't think I
okay,
fully knew like how big your family was in total.
So, yeah. So, maybe this is what the podcast is about today. Maybe this is the heaviness that
Hey,
you're like,
it's
how
family.
heavy could we get today?
I
So, it's like pretty morbid. That's how heavy.
Okay, all right.
So, okay, so my mom has one sibling, my aunt, who passed away in 2009. She had two kids, Allison and Jeremiah, and Allison passed away in 2008 in a car accident. Basically, my aunt and my uncle were separated at the time when she passed, and my cousin Jeremiah ended up kind of like, there's no like picking or choosing sides, but there was like a lot of tension between my mom and my uncle at the time, and we're kind of like estranged now. Like, we used to do like everything together when my aunt was alive, you know, we were just like around each other, and then like over the years he's just kind of like, he's just not the same, and like just isn't around. So I actually didn't even invite him to my wedding because I don't even really know him, which is really sad. But what I can say is that my cousin, before she passed, was my best friend, and we were like inseparable. So the reason I say that I'm jealous of you is because one of the biggest things that I struggle with in my adult life is the feeling that you're explaining. Like, ooh, wow, we're a little emotional.
I'm sorry, man.
It's
I
okay.
didn't realize.
So I struggle with the what could have been all the time. Not only with like my cousin, but also with my aunt. But so there's that side of my family. And then my mom has like second and third cousins that we see like every now and then. But I don't really have a relationship with them either because they live very far away. So even then, we don't like, I don't know, I don't know them. I've tried to be like, hey, we should all get together and like be cousins, even though we're like distant cousins, and like try to like have some sort of like family something every year because I crave obviously that like relationship. And then on my dad's side, my dad has two sisters, one in which I've met maybe once my entire life. Maybe a couple more times than that, but not often. I really don't know her. And then the other one who my dad doesn't even talk about or even talk to. So I know one of her kids, and I've met them once because they live in Europe. So I really haven't even like, I don't really know, like I love her and I care for her and like we've like,
Sure, but you don't know her.
I don't know her at all. And then my dad's other sister, the one that he's on good terms with, I like have met them all again maybe in total 3 times in my entire life. So I have this summer, my grandma has a sister, like a half sister that's younger than my mom. And so her and my mom are very close because they're only a couple years apart, but she is younger than my mom. And then she has a daughter, and she and I are like, we're literally the same age. And so I talk to her every now and then, but I haven't seen, I mean, I never really grew up with her either, you know, like we never really saw each other. So for the first time this summer we connected, but like with my mom and we call her sis, my mom's aunt, technically. But even then, like we don't even really, I don't really have family like that. Like I don't. And that's like that sucks. That really sucks to me. So yeah, there's that.
Well, hey, listen. there's a lot more to go into than that too, because we're not just talking about extended family. I know that you have siblings, and I could talk all day about my siblings also. But let's talk about the word family. Let's talk about the emotional impact of family and what that means outside of blood. A lot of people aren't close with their families. And yeah, let's talk about this. Something that I think is a very old-fashioned idea that old-fashioned is a pejorative term. It has a negative connotation, and yes, I was saying it in that way, but there's also good value to this. But the idea that family, like blood, is worth more, is more significant, is, like, respect this person, this is your aunt, uncle, grandfather, sibling, like, you
Right.
guys are family. And I understand that. I get that. And I'm not saying it doesn't have value. But personally, I don't think the DNA comparison is what makes family special. I think it's
Right,
about
right.
your relation, the fact that family is your oldest, probably your oldest relationships, the relationships that you grew up with. And,
Right.
Some people have family that aren't blood related to them at all. I mean, you talk about not even just like people who adopt, but like friendships that have lasted entire lives. And I don't know. There's so much more to family than just
Yeah,
we come from the same blood.
So I'm gonna make a lot of noise while I pull this over here.
Make as much noise as you can.
But this, one of my close friends gave to me, I think it was for a birthday, many, many years ago. And it said, "One loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives." And
I mean, listen.
and I have to agree with that. And I think, like, while we kind of talk about, while I bring up kind of my own feelings about not being close to, like, my family or not really having family, like, anymore that's living, what's the struggle for me in that is because of the relationship that we had, right? Like, if I wasn't close to them, yeah, it would have still affected me, but not to the extent that it really affects me today. Because my aunt and my cousins, like Allison and Jeremiah, I say cousins as if there's like 30 of them. There's my aunt and her children were we were together all the time. I mean, all the time. In the summers, my mom would send me over to my grandma's, and me and Allison would be there all day together, and we'd do things, and like we literally grew up as like best friends. So like part of me really struggles with that because of the closeness of the relationship, right? But I also have friends that I've chosen in my lifetime that are close enough, and I care about them with that same intensity. Like, so like for you example, right? Like when I have children, you will be Uncle John, right? Like you would just be Uncle John because you have to be.
Yeah.
'Cause why wouldn't you be? And same thing with like a couple of my other really, really close friends, is these are people who I'm going to like raise my children to, like, in a sense, believe, that they're family. They'll know that they're not like blood related, but they are family. They're part of our family. And I think that, that's really important to have people like that in our lives. And like, even with Danielle, right? Like Danielle's a close friend of mine that I met only a couple of years ago, but I've kind of infiltrated their family, right? And I'm now like, I go to bingo with Danielle and her mom on Wednesdays, right? To be with them. And then Danielle's aunt comes, and like, they're all like this, like I'm part of the family drama. I get to hear about all the drama in the family. I know everybody knows me. I exist in that family as family,
Yeah.
Like I'll go to like Thanksgivings, like celebrations, or I'll be there on New Year's, and I'll be around for Christmas. And I think that says something too, because that fills for me, that feels almost like a void, right? Like that feels like family to me.
Yeah.
Like that's just as important.
I think that is family.
It is.
I there are going to be so many people that are like not going to be seeing their families for Thanksgiving this year. I actually might not be seeing my family like on Thanksgiving, because with like lives in my work schedules, we like would likely, if we go home for Thanksgiving, it's just to Connecticut from New York, so it's not crazy. But
It's a
like
train ride away, yeah.
I don't have a car. And yeah, when you think of like taking the subway to Grand Central plus the train ride there, then from that train station, like our dad picks us up and brings us back home, door to door, that's like 3.5 to 4 hours.
Yeah,
And
that's a trip.
what we might have to do is go there Thursday morning and then leave Thursday night, because we both might be working on Friday, is just what
Yeah.
our job situations might be. And so something we're talking about is we might even celebrate like on Saturday, like our parents might just come down to the city on Saturday, and like I actually offered to host Thanksgiving at my place this year, which would be like very cool and would feel like a little, I don't know, a little like not benchmark, stepping stone of
Yeah.
adulthood that I don't know,
Well-
I think is really cool.
Well,
But on Thursday, I don't know if I'm going to be with my parents, and I'm kind of like, I kind of want to see who's around in the area, and also is like not seeing their family for Thanksgiving, and maybe try to do a little thing. And
Yeah.
it just
And I started a fun little tradition that we paused last year because of an incident that I will not be speaking of. Actually, I'll tell you about it. It's hilarious,
Okay.
but later I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tell you about it now. Maybe I'll tell you about it. But anyway, so I used to, when I was working at like in the emergency department, there's seniority is a thing, so you don't always
Yeah.
get the holidays off that you want. And closer to the end of my time working at Children's, I would get the holidays that I wanted because I'd been there long enough, obviously.
yeah.
So there was a couple Thanksgivings where I had to work on Thanksgiving and couldn't go home to Connecticut. So I started the tradition of having a literal like Friendsgiving, but like to replace like Thanksgiving, because I wouldn't be able to make it home just because of like everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
So, and I've made it home for like 98% of Thanksgivings, but that was like, that's wonderful. And that is so much fun to me because that also feels like family, right? We still do this. We do the same thing we would do on Thanksgiving, but with all of our like close friends, and like they feel like family. Like we invite them all over because they do feel like family. And it's the people that I do want to spend, I would want to spend a holiday with, that are close enough to, because otherwise I'd be like, John, it is time for you to get up here for Friendsgiving. You must come here. It's like an 8-hour train ride, but it's fine.
Right there. I absolutely agree. And there's that saying of like, you can't pick your family. And like, technically you can't pick who is blood related to you, but let's break that open a little bit, because I think you can pick your family. I think it's really hard to do so, but I think there are people that you will my closest friends are they're my family. We all moved, like the 3 guys and we all moved to New York together, and now we've been living with Gab since like quarantine, and like they're just my family, and that's just I think there's a real mindset that we are held back by, that family deserves something inherently. And we've talked about that a little bit, like when we were talking about parenting, where like anyone can have a kid, like physically. Anyone, I mean, not anyone, but it does not take any kind of moral spine or code of ethics to become pregnant or get someone pregnant and then have a baby. Right. That does not entitle you to anything. It's about, I think, everyone, including parents, including family members of all sorts, need to earn your relationship.
Right.
I genuinely believe that. And, because people are like your blood family and you grew up with them, your relationships are going to be very deep and very layered. And it's like more complicated than, Well,
if they're around.
yes. Well, yeah, absolutely. But there is at least like your entire life is centered around your relationships with them. And if they're absent, it's centered around that. And you know, I'm not gonna say as a blanket statement that any family member who is treating you poorly, cut them out, because I think it's very, very complicated. However, I don't think we should continue as a society to hold ourselves to this, like, well, all signs say I should cut them out, but they're family. Them being blood related to you does not mean that it's healthy for them to be in your life. And
No, and I agree with that 110%.
I know you do.
I have, so there's a couple of things, but I think I just, for the sake of time too, I'll explain this one situation. But
Sure.
I have family that comes around every Thanksgiving and Christmas and for birthdays sometimes, and my mom and my grandma have great relationships with them, and that's totally fine. I, on the other hand, am like, see you later.
You-
Like, again, like, I wish you no ill will, and I acknowledge that you're part of my family, but you haven't been around for me, and why
you don't
would
owe them
I?
anything.
I don't. And I also, like, you haven't done anything for me. Like,
Yeah.
and these are people who at one point were very close. And actually, I shouldn't say these, like, people, because there's two that I'm thinking of at the moment, and it's really only one of them now, because the other one apologized. Like,
Hey.
realized and apologized. And, I mean, we're not, like, close anymore, but that
No,
meant
but
a lot
that
to me, because my
means
feelings,
something.
like, were hurt by the whole situation, where basically they both just, like, disappeared for a long time and then came back and expected everybody to be like, wow, it's so great that you're back. And yeah, was I excited for them to both be back and to be around again? Yes, but nobody ever acknowledged it up until recently. Like, you know, my one cousin did. And again, this is like a second or third cousin. I think it's just second cousin. I don't know. Math. It's a math
I
thing,
don't know.
right? Like, I don't know. But like, nobody acknowledged it. And then when I've expressed that I was upset and hurt because we had a relationship previously, and I was like, and then you came back and didn't acknowledge the fact that in this time I've grown up to be an adult and have feelings about this, and have feelings about the fact that you've essentially abandoned me, considering we had such a close relationship previously. Like, and you're not going to acknowledge that to me out, like, even though I've brought it up, that's why my feelings are hurt, like, and that's why I act the way I act towards you. And I don't act in a way that's, like, rude or mean, but I definitely don't try to have a relationship, because you didn't try when you came back.
Yeah.
And you didn't try while you were gone. Like, I had no idea where you were for 5 years. Like,
Yeah. And if you don't
so-
want to have a relationship with them, that's your right. If they want to have a relationship with you, they need to put the work in and earn it.
Absolutely. And like, this one family member lives in, like, upstate New York, and it's very far away from everything. And he's always like, nobody ever comes to see me or do this and that. And I'm like, well, it's not like you really ever ask, first of all.
Yeah.
And
No.
second, you're not even around. So why, like, I don't have a relationship with you, so why would I want to go spend my time? I mean, yeah, you have a beautiful house and a beautiful yard, but why would I want to spend my time with you, like, in the middle of nowhere with no cell service? Like, this is, like, the middle of nowhere. And the reason I say beautiful yard is because he has a shit ton of land. And, like, it's, like, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, when you go up there, you're disconnecting. 'Cause
Hey,
I've been
and
up there, obviously.
And I'm sure that's
But-
cool. And I'm sure if you wanted to have a family party, that would be a cool place to have a family party.
Which
But
we've gone to,
who's-
like, Easter up there and done things
Great.
like that. But, like,
But who's
he's
going to
like,
want to
oh,
have a one-to-one, like, visit if you guys don't have, like, conversation? Like, if you guys
Right,
aren't, if the effort's not being put into the relationship.
And to make that even better, like, I went ahead and extended, like, an invite to my wedding, and guess who didn't show up anyway?
Ooh, that's tea.
So
That's
I don't
not-
know.
I'm
So
sipping tea.
you want a relationship with me, but you don't show up? It's not going to happen. If you want to be in my life, I deserve, as equally as you deserve, for us to both be putting in the effort.
Yeah.
So if I've done all that I can too in this relationship where I've expressed, hey, my feelings were hurt by this, like, and you don't respond to that or act some type of way about it or try to fix it, then I'm done. I'm not going to spend the time doing it.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, like, again, I'm not like disrespectful towards them. I'm not like, I don't have any ill will towards them, but it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, cool, happy you're here now, but again, still, while you're hanging out, you really haven't put in any effort.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And that's, why would one value a relationship like that over your friends that are actually there for you and are put, family, I think, should overall be held to a higher standard of, and I mean, between family members, yeah, there can be a certain basis and understanding of we don't have to constantly check up on each other. Like, I'm not talking about, like, quantity of, like, putting time into a relationship, because if you're family, like, I mean, even, like, you and I, we've gone a long time without talking just because we're busy, but that's because we feel so secure in our relationship. And I think that makes sense to carry over into family relationships. However, if one person is like, hey, you're not trying to have a relationship with me, maybe they should ask themselves, are they trying to have a relationship with you? Are they putting in the effort? If one side's putting in the effort and the other side isn't, I don't know.
No, I mean, and especially like when you bring up our relationship, like, I know that if anything were to happen to me, like tomorrow, you'd be here, probably one of the first people here. Yeah. And I can say about that one family member.
Sorry, when I say I try, I mean the physical speed that I would have to go to get there first.
Before Victor.
Would be extremely unsafe. Would I do it? Maybe. Would Victor also be going as fast as he could? Probably. So he might, like, beat me there, but...
Maybe, but whatever.
I would start... I don't know.
But yeah,
yes, I would be there.
I can't say that one family member I was just referring to would be at all.
Yeah.
And to put it in another perspective, right? Like, so I have an older half-sister, and she and I are 18 years apart. And yet we both put in an equal effort to be in each other's lives. And we didn't even grow up with each other. Like,
wow. Yeah.
So it just, and that took work too, because that's a whole different thing, right? That took like,
yeah.
Hey, I'm like 12 now and kind of like, I kind of want to know my sister, right? Like that took effort from me, and then for her to be like, cool, all right, let's figure it out. Like with that age gap especially. And I feel like it's gotten easier as we've gotten older because we have more we can like relate to each other with. But it definitely wasn't like a overnight like, oh yeah, this is my sister, we're best friends, It's not like me and my sister who are 5 years apart and grew up in the same house. It's a whole different, ball game, Which, even that, like, even if you do grow up with, like, a sibling... I mean, I'm not saying this about my siblings, but it just brought up another point. Because I actually have pretty decent relationships with both of my siblings, my younger siblings. But even if you have siblings that you've grown up in the same house with and they don't treat you the right way, like, so be it.
They're not deserving of your relationship automatically. They're not entitled... No one is entitled to a relationship. Just, full stop.
Absolutely.
And I think, man, in terms of like navigating Thanksgiving, which is just, the hot family drama holiday.
It is. It really is.
It's tough, man. It's, I don't know. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes you're sitting down with relatives that you're like, I don't really want to talk to you too much. And I don't know. It's really easy, I think, to say, like, you don't actually have to have relationships with them. However, you might have to be sitting right next to them at the table if you're, I don't know, if your aunt came up with a seating chart or something like that. That's not the most radical thing that I'm sure people deal with on Thanksgiving. I don't know. Try to find some common ground. If you're not having a good relationship with that person, probably keep politics out of it if you can. That's a whole nother thing.
You know, for that one uncle that I was just talking about, I would like to say that last Christmas, my mom called him before he showed up and said, "Please don't talk about politics around Emily." It's like, I don't want anybody to get into an argument tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm definitely being hypocritical for saying this, but like sometimes it just isn't worth it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's very hard when I have a very hard time in that position. I think it depends. I think it depends on who the conversation is actively affecting, you know,
Oh,
in,
no.
in the room.
Trust me.
You know, yeah.
Trust me. Do I know that?
Yeah. But for your uncle that just like, not your uncle, but in general, all of you out there, for your uncle that just like really likes like Nixon, just really fucks with the Reagan administration.
Just like, this is the one.
It's just, you know,
Yeah.
fucking whatever. Just pass the mashed potatoes and remember that you
know
absolutely don't have to have a relationship with that person.
Here's the
And
other
don't
thing.
don't give it to them. Don't give them the.
If it causes you too much stress to even like be around your family for Thanksgiving and you feel all this pressure, just
like,
try
don't do
your
it.
best to like either show up and not like get into it with anybody and just be there and just try to ground yourself the entire time, or don't go.
Or don't go, because that's okay.
It's okay to not go.
I mean, and all these people are out there right now are, you know, all these people have parents that will just emotionally beat into them at the suggestion of not going to Thanksgiving, and it's sad and it's unfair. And you know, if you are not not everyone is equipped. I don't know if my parents talked to me that way. If my parents like really put me down for like not having time. I'm very lucky that my parents understand that I have a busy schedule. If my parents talked down to me and were aggressive in that sense, I wouldn't be able to navigate that well. But regardless of what you're actually able to do, remember that it's wrong. And you deserve to have relationships with who you want to have relationships with. You deserve to go to only the family gatherings that you want to go to. You are an independent person, and you can, in a sense, choose your family. You can choose the quantity of time that you spend with specific people. Or, I mean, at least hopefully you can work to a place where you are independent enough, like financially or on your own or whatever, where you can make those decisions. I guess I shouldn't say in general that everyone is able to do that, because I'm sure a lot of people are living at home and aren't, but you have the right to make those decisions.
If your parents are divorced and you don't know which house to go to, maybe don't go to either house.
Don't go to either house. That way it's fair. Make them come to you.
They can come to, imagine.
I don't know.
We don't know the answers. Maybe
we don't know
those
the
are
answers.
helpful suggestions. And I know it's such a hot topic. Like, family is such an intricate thing. Like, there's so many like politics that play out in general within families, and
yeah, I mean, all
that's
the
a hard
best,
thing
all the best dramas are family politic based, and it's for a reason, because no one gets under your skin. No one gets under your skin like family does, because they know you, and you know, just do your best.
That's all. That's
you're
all
doing
you can
great.
do.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be so fine. Emily,
Yes.
what'd we learn today?
Oh, we learned that the only members of your family that matter are the dogs,
Yes.
and you should pet them.
You have to pet the dogs. When I said no one is automatically entitled to a relationship with you, that is excluding dogs. Dogs are entitled to
correct.
100% of your attention all the time, and they don't have to put in any of the work. Just pet that dog.
These are facts.
Full stop.
These are facts. We also learned that family doesn't have to be blood.
No, it does not. Family's whoever loves you and
And-
whoever you love, and
One loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives.
do you know how many relatives that is?
10,000.
That's more probably than you have.
That's.
Even on Christmas Day, it's probably more than how many you see.
This is a fact.
Yeah.
And then we also learned that if your family stresses you out around the holidays and you don't want to go somewhere, don't go there.
It's really up to you.
And if you have to go, or you feel like you should go, or you just end up there, that's fine. But just try to
Sometimes
keep
you do
to
want to
yourself.
avoid the
Yeah.
drama. It makes sense.
Keep to yourself and just
Yeah.
ground yourself and then leave. You don't have to stay. Like, maybe eat some food and then, get the hell out of there.
Get the hell out of there. And,
And we hope that your Thanksgiving has minimal family drama, because we can't say none, because
Yeah.
that's never the case.
well, it wouldn't be a Thanksgiving without a little bit.
Exactly.
Family drama with a side of mashed potatoes, baby.
It's my favorite type.
Cheesy
Anyway.
garlic family drama. Anyways.
And you know what? We could be your family. We love you.
Oh my god, we love you so much. We're your family.
And we're doing... I was going to say, you're doing great.
You're doing great, and we're doing great.
Yes,
All of
and
us
we
are
love you.
our whole big mental sync family. We're doing great.
Yes.
We love you.
And,
God.
one loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives.
10,000 relatives. Go eat some turkey. You turkeys.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
And bye.
Cool. Okay, are we happy?